Hello, everybody. I'm Frank Stanisci, Candid Frank Live, where you'll find us airing our views here on the on the Spanglish World Network. My computer has just decided to say, "Hi there, f you." My screen went blank. You there, Aaron?
I'm still here. Yep.
Oh, okay, so at least I got you. My I don't see a thing, so I'll just assume. I think I heard you barely. Let's start with shenanigans, and we'll go right in the order that you gave it to me because tonight's going to be a little harder, I can see. Let's talk about Ontario and the week of uncertainty.
So, as it currently stands, this weekend saw some rather interesting doings that transpire, and most of this unfortunately dropped after we'd already finished our show on the Friday. But John Tory is going to be resigning as the mayor of Toronto. He will be attending Wednesday's budget meeting to ensure the 2023 City of Toronto operating and capital budgets are finalized before resigning. Once that happens, we could be potentially seeing another election for the City of Toronto in the next few months. So as it currently stands, he's resigning because the Toronto Star tipped him off to a story that they were going to be running about an affair that he was having with a 31-year-old staffer at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, which ended earlier this year.
I'm, I'm, he's what, 68, 67?
Yes.
I think.
He was 66 at the time that the alleged affair started.
Okay, so, and his reasoning was that he wasn't spending much time at home.
Yes, he said that he was going to be working on his relationship with his family and more particularly with his spouse and his children, whom he had let down.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, personality quirks. Okay. So let's talk about two people who were rescued in the rubble of East Ottawa's explosion.
So several homes were destroyed, but two people were pulled alive from the rubble in East Ottawa Monday morning after a gas leak triggered an explosion. Residents started calling 911 at about 6:20 in the morning to report the blast. Ottawa firefighters said a gas leak caused the explosion that affected four homes under construction on Blossom Pass Terrace. Homes with people living in them are actually nearby. Two people were unaccounted for and have since been accounted for. The first person was pulled from rubble at 7:19. The second was rescued just prior to the news conference this morning, getting away shortly after 9:30 a.m.
Wow. Everybody's okay. Just a little bit of damage to property that can always be replaced. I know financial issues can come up as well, and I hope things work out for those folks in as good a way as it possibly can. Off-duty Windsor police officer charged with impaired driving, Aaron.
So the officer has not been named as yet, but an off-duty Windsor officer was arrested and charged with impaired driving on Saturday shortly after 1 a.m. So this would have been on February 11th. Chatham-Kent police conducted a traffic stop. They arrested and charged the constable with impaired operation of conveyance by alcohol and impaired operation of a conveyance with blood alcohol exceeding 80 milligrams. Now, this is not his first brush with the law. He was arrested and charged with impaired driving in October 2022. So just a few short months ago. Now, at that particular time, he'd been arrested after a collision downtown. So at that point in October, he was reassigned to administrative duties. Now it appears that he has been suspended by Windsor Police for the time being.
Was off duty, right?
Yes, he was.
Okay, that's one good thing. Let's talk about the Maritimes winter storm warnings.
So people are being warned to take extreme care. Environment Canada says Monday morning, that was this morning, was supposed to bring cold temperatures in Labrador City and Wabash and Newfoundland and Labrador, with wind chills hovering around minus 45 degrees Celsius. Just so people know what we're talking about here, if you have exposed skin, it will freeze in under 2 minutes in wind chill of minus 45. Now, the storm is expected to impact eastern Newfoundland on Valentine's Day, although there remains some uncertainty in the forecast at this point in time. Avalon, Bonavista, and Burn Peninsulas, Clarenville and vicinity, and Terra Nova could see up to 20 centimeters of snow starting Tuesday heading into Wednesday. As well, parts of the Atlantic coast of Nova Scotia, including Halifax Metro, could see up to 6 inches of snow or more starting on Monday and going into Tuesday, with wind gusts up to 70 kilometers an hour. So if you're going to be outside, folks, bundle up.
Okay, we're not talking UFOs here. We're talking unidentified objects. So the fourth one got shot down, and it got a little personal for us Canadians in our territory.
Yeah, this is, as you mentioned, the fourth object that has been shot down. The first was shot down off the coast. The second was shot down in Alaska. A third was shot down in Yukon territories. And finally, this fourth one here was shot down over some heavily populated areas in southern Ontario on the U.S. East Coast. Yeah, Lake Huron. We're trying to be a little unspecific and slightly vague, but NORAD and the Joint U.S.-Canadian Air Surveillance and Defense Organization says that in a statement, it closed airspace over Lake Michigan temporarily around noon on Sunday. Now, the balloons weren't identified as a direct threat to anyone on the ground, but they could potentially have been a hazard to air traffic.
20 to 40,000 feet, which is air traffic. And that's the danger. And they were cylindrical and octagonal in shape.
Yes.
Wow. That's something. Aaron. They had I didn't get to hear the press conference, but one of the press conferences in the U.S. intimated UFO, and people are starting to go, "Uh-oh, here we go." So people understand. This has been going on for a while, and if one thinks that just because the Biden administration says, well, it happened during the Trump administration, what's happened is that they've turned up the sensitivity. So now they're seeing more stuff, and there's also a chance that they'll basically see aberrations that they'll think is something as well. So this concern with flying object above our countries spying on us has raised the level of attention being paid to what's going on. So this isn't all of a sudden an inundation of balloons. They're not storming the country, with balloons, if you know what I mean. This isn't storming the Capitol balloons version. This is just that we're paying more attention to what's going on. And keep in mind, and I want people to realize this, some of these balloons or these items that are identified with radar are things that even companies send up. So, it's not necessarily even other countries doing stuff. It could be just stuff that's going in the air that belongs to us and companies that are in our country. What this will do, Aaron, and you can correct me if I'm wrong or voice your own opinion, what this is going to do is registering items that go up in the air above a certain amount of feet. They're going to have to it's going to get to that point because they can't be spending up to $500,000 to shoot down a balloon that was just at the dollar store and somebody just released it. I'm exaggerating, but I'm trying to make a point. So you can't be spending $500,000 because that's what it costs. It costs that when they took down that second one, it was about $500,000 that it cost. Between the airplane, the fuel, the actual time that you take off the jet that it has, and the bombs used are like over $100,000, Aaron, alone. Just the bomb that they use is worth that much. So it's an interesting situation, and there's no need for panic, I don't think. And unfortunately, we're going to have the wave of people who all of a sudden, oh yeah, here it comes. They're finally coming. They're arriving. They're coming to take us away. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, it's one of those, there's hundreds of thousands of objects currently in the sky. There's more going up every day of the week. There's tons of orbital debris in space as well. It's very, despite the fact that it looks clear, it's relatively crowded up there. And this is not a new phenomenon. Weather balloons and all that sort of fun stuff is something that's been known for a long time now. We're just more aware of it, and along with the heightened awareness comes heightened panic.
Exactly. And in case people are saying, well, how could a balloon the size of a car be a problem? Well, geese around Toronto International Airport have caused engine failures. So, that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about impacting, normal flights with ordinary folks on. Not that engines can't gobble up a goose, but it can tend to cause a problem if it goes in the engine. And what risk do we want to take when it comes to flying? That
Yeah,
much.
and it's just something to be aware of, and again, the heightened awareness can inspire panic in those who are prone to such things. But it
I
is
can.
what it is. So.
You want a parallel? I'll give you a
Sure.
parallel. You walk around your house in the dark. You walk around the kitchen at the dark at night, and then all of a sudden you wake up. You want a glass of water. You turn on a light, and there's about 50,000 cockroaches on the ground. Time for concern. But you wouldn't have known if you hadn't turned on the light. They were there all along. They were there all along. You just didn't know it. And there's no need to panic. Just call the exterminator. And in this case, just let the government do what it's there to do, which is to protect us. And as much as we want to give governments hard times, there's a lot of good they do. I know that's not popular to say right now, but there's a lot of good that they do. Our system is there for a reason. Trust it, at least to the extent that you can verify, and leave it at that. But don't listen to lunatics that are saying stupid stuff. And I'm sorry if you don't know the difference between stupid stuff and stuff that makes sense. I don't know. I got nothing else. I got nothing. It ends there for me. Let's talk about the Canadian Football League.
So there have been a lot of doings that transpiring in and around the CFL. There's been a lot of activity. In order to keep things sort of manageable, I wanted to sort of pare down what we're looking at here. Now, the Argonauts, just for those who are interested in this sort of thing, have extended Eastern All-Star A.J. Ouellette. He played 13 games for the Double Blue last year, filling in as the lead back when Andrew Harris was injured in Week 10. Had 2 touchdowns and over 500 yards while catching 38 passes for 350 and 1 major. Now, this, along with the report that Harris is going to be returning for the 2023 season, would ensure the Argonauts would have the same dangerous run game duo as they did last year when they begin their title defense this year. So this is really exciting news for those of us who are fans of the team, and it should put the league on notice.
Absolutely. Let's go on to the Ticats.
So as it currently stands, teams are preparing for silly season to start. And by silly season, I mean free agent season, which starts, wonder of wonders, tomorrow. So the Hamilton Tiger Cats have released American defensive back Cariel Brooks. He played 12 regular season games and 1 playoff game with the Ticats, registering 35 defensive tackles. He was a CFL All-Star in 2021 and East Division All-Star in 2018 and 2021. He's played 70 games over 5 seasons in Hamilton. Good. It will be interesting to see where he ends up. Somebody could probably use that. They've also agreed to a contract extension with national defensive tackle Ted Laurent. He was set to become a free agent on February 14th. He played 17 regular season and 1 playoff game for the Ticats in 2022. Registering 9 defensive tackles, 2 quarterback sacks, and 1 forced fumble. And on top of that, Kwaku Boateng and the Ticats have apparently reached a deal as well. Now, he would have officially become a free agent tomorrow. But Boateng suffered an Achilles injury in 2022 that actually kept him out of action for the entire season after he signed with the Red Blacks during free agency. So this is a bit of a gamble for the Ticats, but they're obviously certain that it's going to pan out.
Yeah, tough go. See how that turns out for them. Let's talk about, let me see. Well, they're all, okay, we'll go to Soccer Canada very quickly, the women's team.
So The women's team has decided that they're going to end their job action after Canada Soccer threatened to sue them. They missed one day of training in Florida, but their labor dispute with the body is far from over. No, to be clear, they're being forced back to work for the short term, says Canada captain Christine Sinclair. They're going to continue to fight for everything they deserve, and they're going to win. This She Believes game is being played in protest. So they're trying to basically strong arm them back into playing again. And as it so happens, they have, for the time being, succeeded.
The Canadian women's national team has seen what's happened with the United States women's national team, and they want something equal, which basically is it's equal. The men and the women in the U.S. share equally, and that's what the Canadian women want in Canada as well. That's the target. All right, real quick, let's go through some hockey. We'll save the Super Bowl for the end. Let's talk about the Montreal Canadiens.
So the Habs actually had a back-to-back this weekend. Matheson scored in overtime as they beat the Isles 4-3. They then played their second game of a back-to-back against the Oilers on Sunday. Jordan Harris, who recently was extended by the Habs, actually scored twice as they managed to hold Connor McDavid off the board and beat the Oilers 6-2. So there's some good news for them.
The Oilers also played the Sens.
Yeah, so on Saturday, the Oilers played the Senators. That was the first part of their back-to-back. They snapped the Senators' win streak with a 6-3 win. Unfortunately, due to a goal-mouth collision, Anton Forsberg actually tore his MCLs in both knees and is out indefinitely. Had to be stretchered off the ice.
Jets Wheeler powers his team to a victory.
Yeah, so Blackhawks were in town. No surprise here. Wheeler managed to get some points on the board as they dropped them 4-1. Not an entirely unexpected win, to be fair.
Wings beat the Canucks.
Yeah, this was no surprise here. Unfortunately, the Canucks' woes continue. Larkin and Bergman both got 2 goals apiece as the Wings took down the Canucks over the weekend as well. Last up on the docket would have been the Flames, who actually got really hot, scored 4 goals in about 5 minutes in the second period to win 7-2 over the Buffalo Sabres.
And then let's talk about the Leafs and see how much time we can save with the Super Bowl. Well, the Leafs were good and terrible.
Yeah, they got a shutout on the first night of the back-to-back with travel and ended up losing the second game 4-3. I think one of the most damning comments to come out of it in the post game was Sheldon Keefe saying, well, I can't go out there and work hard for the players. And they plain got outworked in the second period. They were outshot 21-5 or something ridiculous like that. I felt really bad for Wall in his NHL debut as well.
40 shots against in total. And they dominated the first period like 16 to something. So that means they had 14 shots. So it was something like 14 or 16 shots the rest of the way, and they allowed 34 shots in the last 2 periods. That's just it's unacceptable for a team that considers itself a cup contender. Very terrible, very, very, very terrible. So the team I picked won, Kansas City, in the Super Bowl. The guy that I felt needed to be healthy would be the reason why they win. Turns out that's true. But I was really impressed with Pacheco as well, the running back for the KC team. And the Chiefs were, the first half, they were terrible. They really weren't that good. But in the second half, they came out, and with every possession, they scored. And that was an answer that Philadelphia couldn't answer.
Yeah, no, Pacheco's score at the beginning of the third quarter was definitely a key to the game itself. It didn't help that Mahomes appeared to have been badly injured and hobbled off the field. I'm not sure what sort of medical magic they worked on him while Rihanna was performing, but
I don't know. I don't know. There may have been a little bit of acting there on the sidelines, building up hope.
The other thing that people are complaining about today was a holding call that went against the Eagles, which seemed to play into a lot of fans' narratives about how the league is biased. And I see you squirming there, Frank. What did you think of that particular call?
Well, look, there was one earlier. I think it was late in the first quarter that was exactly the same. and it wasn't called. It was exactly the same, and it wasn't called. Now, in the Canadian Football League, we've had the pass interference longer than the NFL. But we have this thing also where pass interference isn't just the act of the defender holding back the offensive player going for the ball. There's also the condition that the ball that was in play for that player was reachable. They could catch it. I'm not sure he could have caught that ball even if he wasn't held.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I mean,
And I was pulling for KC, so I'm not whining on behalf of Philly.
No, I get you. Just a couple quick thoughts, if you have any, as we close out here, about Rihanna's halftime show. What did you think of that?
Yeah, it was awesome. She did pretty good for being pregnant. That was amazing. All those floating, it was pretty magical actually, and she was fully pregnant too, doing her thing, and there was some lip syncing going on. Sadly.
Well, as it is expected. I mean, it is cold. It is February, so there you go.
Yeah, but it was in Arizona. It was 76 degrees.
It's still so chilly.
Well, anyway, she is one of the richest female musicians in the world, if not the richest. And she has a clothing line. She's fine. She's not going to have any tag days anytime soon. That child that she's going to have will be taken care of okay. And I think it'll have a pretty decent crib and room.
Definitely.
I think so too. What'd you think of the game? Did it end the way you thought it would?
Yeah, I pretty much figured it would end that way.
All right.
Not really much of a surprise.
No, not much at all. It's true. Okay, he's Aaron William Freeland. I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching Candid Frank Live, Aaron, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Please watch our shows along with Candid Frank Live. We have shows like NLL Talk, CFL Talk. And if you go to my YouTube page, you can see my Wasaga Candid Frank at the beach too. So check that out as well. We'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching.